Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Saturday, July 16th, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So in today's video, we'll be doing a quick little recap, going over yesterday's picks, talking about my core picks for today's main slate. It is a 6-game main slate overall. Maybe one that you want to play a little bit lighter just because there isn't as many teams on it. There's not like over the top great options, but we're going to talk about some good ones overall. And then going over to my article over at WeBetATS.com. It is not yet published. Once that is published, I'll list the link down below, but I'll be talking about my top GPP stacks in general for the main slate for today. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. So at the pitcher position, we had Clayton Kershaw at $10,100. Got to 52 points. He was a hit in the second overall pitcher yesterday. The only pitcher that finished higher than him was Robbie Ray, who ended up with 12 strikeouts yesterday. Then at third base, we had Matt Chapman at $2,700. Got to 31.7 points. He had another home run yesterday. He was a hit in the second overall third baseman on yesterday's slate. Then at shortstop, we had Xander Bogaerts, a guy that had very, very good history versus Jordan Montgomery. Ended up with 2 hits yesterday as well. Got to 9.2 points. I did give him a hit. And then we had Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield at $3,800. Got to 28.7 points, so he was a hit. Very good day for him once again. And then last but not least, we had Alex Kirilloff at $2,500. Got to 13 points, so he was a pretty good hit for a value play as well. If you went with some other good plays like an Adam Duvall, who was another guy that just missed out, I was between him and Kirilloff yesterday for my core picks. Ended up playing a lot of Adam Duvall still. Probably had a very good chance of doing well. My personal main lineup went over 205 points yesterday, so that was a top 1% lineup in most GPPs. So pretty solid day all around yesterday. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my core plays for today. So we're going to start off at the pitcher position. I know it's really easy to pay up for Justin Verlander today at $11,100. Very, very tempting. Great matchup there. But if you don't want to spend up on him, Dean Kramer's a very solid option at $8,900. Averaged about 29 fantasy points per game. Had some bad starts this season, but he's had some really good starts, and he's pitching really well as of late. Goes against the Tampa Bay Rays today. Limited sample size versus them. You know, Randy Arozarena's got a home run off him, but he's only 1 for 5 versus him in his career. G-Man Choice 2 for 3, but pretty much everybody else really hasn't hit him well throughout his career. Pitching well and a decent, reasonable price tag. Don't have a problem going to him once again today. If you want to pay down a little bit, you could look at Max Meyer, who is making his debut for the Miami Marlins today at $8,100, which this price tag was just a little bit cheaper, but I still do have some interest in him in GPPs as well. Then at first base, we're going to go with Trey Mancini at $3,000. He's averaging just over 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He's 11 for 27 versus Ryan Yarbrough, who is the starting pitcher, main pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays today. And he also has 3 home runs versus him in that time span as well. So there's definitely a good amount of upside there with Trey Mancini once again today. Then at third base, we're going to go with Austin Riley. He's $4,300, averaging over 12 fantasy points per game on the season. A guy that's been hitting the ball very, very well as of late. He is 5 for 11 with 1 home run versus Paulo Espinino, who is the starting pitcher for the Washington Nationals today. So pretty good amount of upside there once again with Austin Riley. Then we can move down to his teammate Adam Duvall. Obviously he had the hot day yesterday. Smaller slate. He's probably going to be really popular as long as he ends up starting today. As you see right now, he's not projected to start, but he does have good history versus Espinino as 3 for 9 with 2 home runs versus him in his career. So I would not be surprised coming off a hot game, going against a pitcher where he does have some pretty good history if he ends up playing once again today. Obviously, if he does not end up playing, this will be a spot where we need to pivot. In that case, probably going to look at Jorge Soler at $2,800, who has some decent history versus Ranger Suarez, who is the starting pitcher for the Phillies today. And speaking of Miami Marlins, we're going to go down to Brian Anderson here at $2,500. You could also play him at third base, but obviously he's in the outfield at this point in time since we do already have Austin Riley at third base. $2,500, very reasonable price tag, averaging over 8 fantasy points per game. Starting to hit the ball a little bit better as of late. He hits left-handed pitching pretty well, goes against Ranger Suarez, coming off the IL, no rehab assignment or anything like that. So it should be a pretty favorable day for these Miami Marlins hitters, and especially Brian Anderson, who is 3 for 6 versus Ranger Suarez in his career. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $13,700 remaining, just over $3,400 per player. As I mentioned, 6-game slate, pretty small slate, so you're going to kind of have to pick and choose the guys that you really want to play on today's slate, but there are some guys that have pretty decent history out there as well. But with that being said, we'll get over to some top stacks for today. As I mentioned already, my article is not published at this point in time, but once it is up, I'll leave a link to it down in the comments below. But as far as the top stacks go for today, I just made 3 since it is a smaller slate. I got the Astros going against Jared Koenig of the Oakland A's. Obviously, they have never faced him before. He's a left-handed hitter, older rookie, hasn't had too much success at the major league level or anything like that. Hasn't pitched too deep into games, so it should be a favorable matchup for these Astros hitters overall. Also important to keep in mind, some of these guys are banged up in their lineup. Jose Altuve is banged up. Yordan Alvarez is on the IL, so just keep in mind that, but should be some pretty decent value plays there as well. Then we have the Atlanta Braves going against Paulo Espinino. As I already talked about with Austin Riley, Adam Duvall, a lot of these guys have pretty good history versus him. Marcell Ozuna as well has hit 2 home runs off him. Matt Olson's 2 for 3 versus him in his career. Dansby Swanson's got some history, so could be some pretty good plays there for this Braves team overall today. And then last but not least, that Miami Marlins team going against Ranger Suarez. As I mentioned, Ranger Suarez coming back off the IL, had been dealing with a back injury. He did not go on a rehab assignment, so that's typically not a good sign of him pitching deep into the game. Phillies bullpen's kind of, middle of the pack. It's not too great. It's not too bad, but if the Marlins can get on Suarez early and get into the bullpen and everything like that, could be a pretty favorable matchup. Plus, some of these Miami hitters have pretty good history versus Ranger Suarez throughout their respective careers as well. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, July 16th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on today's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks, whether it's someone from my top GPP stacks, or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Primarily MLB DFS at this point in time, since that's the main sport going on. But once we get back around to the NFL and NBA regular seasons, I'll be covering those 2 sports as well. And then with that being said, if you are a newer current subscriber who's yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.